And then on the expenses side, our biggest expense was labor. So over these last 3 months, if I average out the percentage of income that we spent toward labor, and labor includes payroll for my full-time employees and myself, because I am also a full-time employee of the company. It also includes any independent contractors that we pay. So, that could be our coaches, our success coaches inside my program, Cubicle to CEO. That could be my ads manager. That could be any project basis person that we work with. That there's an ever evolving revolving door of different people that we work with depending on what is going on in our business in that season. So labor averaged 43%, which is high for our perfect P&L. And you'll hear me refer back to the perfect P&L a lot because it's kind of like a guiding star. Like if I were navigating a ship and I was the captain of the ship and the ship was my business, the P&L is kind of like my map, or like, the stars in the sky. If I knew how to navigate based on that, it just kind of gives you this roadmap and lets you know, hey, are you on track or are you way off and something needs to happen, or hey, danger is coming, you're about to hit an iceberg, right? That's kind of what the perfect P&L does. It models out based on my business type, and this is going to look different for every business. So keep in mind, I always tell you guys, context is key. If you're listening to this podcast and you do not have the exact same business model as I do, meaning you do not sell mostly, let's see, I mean, my business is kind of a mix of done for you and done with you. So we have done for you services where we work with one-on-one clients, and then we have done with you products, or DIY, do it yourself products, which are our courses and online programs. So we kind of have a hybrid model. Some people have only done for you services. Some people only do passive digital products. Some people sell physical products. Some people are brick and mortar stores. There's all sorts of different business models. So just keep in mind, my numbers are unique to my business. They may not apply to you, but having a model of, hey, in a perfect world, based on your business model and based on your goals, this is how your budget would break down. This is how your expenses would be allocated. And this is how much profit you would be making. That's the purpose of a perfect P&L. So it's a guiding post. It is not rigid. It is flexible, just like your business is, right? Because your business is kind of like a living, breathing thing that's evolving and changing all the time. But it helps to have those guideposts. So 43% is high. And I say it's high because based on my perfect P&L, labor typically should be about, somewhere around 20%. And then advertising or customer acquisition costs. So whatever we are paying to acquire new customers, so that includes marketing and sales, right? That should typically be about 35% of our budget. And those two pieces together, so customer acquisition plus fulfillment, which is the delivery of the products and services that we're selling to our clients and customers, that is typically fulfillment is dictated by labor, like you're hiring people to deliver on a service, right? So those two pieces combined should be about 55% of our income in an ideal world. Now, what's crazy is labor, like I just said, was not 20% for us. It was an average of 43% over the last 3 months, which is double where it should be in a perfect P&L. But then our advertising, which in our perfect P&L would be at 35%, was actually only at a 12% average over the last 3 months. And in fact, in August of this past year, we spent only $3,000 on advertising costs, which, depending on where you're at in your business, maybe you've never run paid traffic, so 3,000 can seem like a boatload of money. But in the context of my business and what we have spent over the last 2 years in paid traffic, $3,000 is tiny. I mean, it is like, just for reference, like there was definitely periods last year where in a quarter we were spending over 6 figures in advertising, right? So 3,000 was probably the lowest amount we have spent on ads in a given month since I started running ads in early last year in 2020. So that was a huge just drop in how much money we were putting behind paid traffic. And part of that really had to do with the big takeaway that the one that I referenced at the beginning of this episode, where I said I want to kind of within this bigger case study break down one specific case study and give you guys like a tactical tip that you can take away from that and apply to your business today, no matter where you are at with revenue. That is related to that lesson. So hang tight, like hold that thought in your head. But let me go back to this expense breakdown, right? So 12% average spent on advertising, 43% average spent on labor. If you add those two pieces together, 43 plus 12, you actually still end up with 55%, which if you remember in my perfect P&L, customer acquisition plus fulfillment, so sales and marketing plus labor should equal 55. It's just that the split that was laid out in my perfect P&L ended up being different than what we actually did, but the end result was the same. So that is a win in my book because we kept those two components of my business to 55% of our total income, of our total budget. And this has been a trend throughout this entire year. My labor costs have significantly, except for quarter one was like really an exception, but outside of quarter one, most of this year, labor has definitely been a bigger spend category or a bigger expense category in my business than advertising. And for me, it's definitely something new because that means, that my business is more dependent on really the people who are helping to run it. And I think that's a cool thing though, because I love this idea that this business that I created, not really with the intention when I first started of having it impact someone else's livelihood or career beyond my own. It is now employing other people, and it is now kind of turning into its own like entity or organism, which is so cool as a leader to watch your team grow and to develop team members. And I always have said that people are your greatest assets. And I think that this breakdown really proves that my team is my greatest asset in my business as we continue to grow to the next level. So that's the breakdown of the high level numbers.